Yeah. Um, we have a decent amount of books to review this go round. One DC, well, technically two DC, because they own Milestone now. And either two DC or two Marvel, or one DC, one Milestone, two Marvel, depending on your preference. I'm starting with the Marvel, even though I'd like to start with Hardware. Let's open with um my good suggestions and see how everything pans out from there. I'm not completely caught up with Savage Avengers yet, but here you go. These are my thoughts on Savage Avengers 21 and 22. I can tell you basically what I think of the series overall, just based on these two issues right here. And what I think of those two issues is that they were good for what they were, but the Savage Avengers is slowly turning into just another Conan book. Don't get me wrong, I like Conan. You can watch my review of Conan here on this channel, but I didn't come here for Conan. I came for the Avengers and Conan. It was cool to see BC Ghost Rider on a spider and Conan kicking the crap out of him. Both of these covers actually happened. But that doesn't really impact the story. I mean, they do, but it didn't change my opinion that it should be a Conan book versus what it actually is. Um, yeah, I would pick up a Conan book if it featured this Conan. But I don't feel the Marvel stuff that they're currently putting out with Conan does. I mean, they say it's the same guy, but this Conan knows fear. This Conan is very relatable. This Conan you worry about. But in the Savage Sword of Conan, I think that's the name of it, they really don't connect to the other book. And I know, based on the DC book I have in the pile, for this week. If they did a book with this Conan, it could take a long time. I almost said it would take a long time, but I don't know that. I'm not being put in charge of Marvel anytime soon. Yeah. Things I liked about it. I liked that Conan, like I said, knew fear. That his fear was of dying alone. That's very relatable to me. I mean, this man that fought his whole life just is scared of dying alone. That to me, I like that the covers actually happen. I don't get to say that a lot. They actually fight both the Ghost Riders. Thing shows up on a giant spider, just like in the cover. Don't know if you can see it, but here you go. Anyway, I would definitely like to see a series with this Conan from the Savage Avengers universe. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. No scores this week. I just have some helpful suggestions. On to, what do you say, Mom? The Milestone book or the DC book?
Do the Milestone next.
On to Milestone, because Mom said so. Now, unlike the two Savage Avengers, I didn't feel that this was being written consistently with what I know hardware to be. I feel that the person in charge of this doesn't know hardware real well and hasn't figured out the problem of, okay, you have a genius character. I don't know how to write him because of that. In fact, I think it had three main problems, and they all tie in together. Release schedule, the fact that it didn't really let you know what was going on in the prior Milestone books, and like I said, the fact that hardware can solve any problem but can't solve what's going on in this book. You all know Static's not my favorite book in the world, but if they're gonna reference him, at least go the extra mile. You know, in the next book, let me know, okay, this is happening in that world. Or I don't know how they're gonna connect. I was gonna say have Dharma show up, but I don't know how they're gonna connect this to Static. And that really kind of bothers me a little bit. I mean, if I knew how they were going to connect this to Static, then that probably wouldn't bother me as much, but it does. Stuff I liked about it. I like that they introduced Baraki, or Baraka, or I don't know, his ex-wife from this run and the last run. And I like that she's still alive in this universe. You know, it's not like drastically altered in that way. But I could have done with a little bit more Static and Icon and just referencing events like they did in the prior issue. My problem, that kind of leads in to my problem with the release schedule. This book seems like, let, let's go with that. I was gonna say feels like, and I switched to seems, but seems like it just feels like it can come out whenever, just whenever. Yeah, big shrug, whenever. And that really bothers me. I mean, I wasn't able to remember, okay, where we were at in the prior hardware, and if I'm not able to remember, I'm assuming all of you aren't able to remember either. So if it was just a clear where he's at in this universe, I think we'd all be a little better off with this book. Like I said, um, there were stuff. There was stuff I liked. God, I can't talk today. There was stuff I liked about this book. I really liked the art. Made me feel like I was reading an independent book. I, and it made me want to pick up the next issue. Like I said, no scores today. Just um good book, thumbs up. That's as high as you're gonna get. But at the same time, you could have done with a little bit more connective tissue. Anyway, on to that DC book that took forever to come out, and I feel was missing the connective tissue originally, and because it's been so long between series, the the readers have just stop trying to connect. You know, kind of like what I said with that would have done with Conan if Conan was released. It's Shazam. Yeah. Okay. My back's buzzing. Anyway, on with the video, my friends. I think this was a good Shazam, but like I I'd really like to point out, if someone were to pick up a Shazam, this Shazam, and they were like off it for 10 years, this would confuse the crap out of them. Almost right up there with Barry Allen coming back. I mean, Freddy having being back, having a disability, being back where he was from square one, maybe a little worse. You gotta remember, Freddy was the wizard for a little while there. Mom was Mom was even like, Freddy's not the wizard anymore. Yeah, Freddy was actually the wizard there for a little while, kids. And now he's back in the hospital again. Oh, help me, I have a disability. Speaking as a person with a disability, we don't read these to be reminded that life sucks. We read these because they give us hope, you know? We watch the TV shows because we had had a crappy day and it may get a little better someday. But yeah, any Freddie Freeman fan will be a little disappointed, but um they did get away from the Scarlet Spider rip-off casino thing from the last issue. You gotta actually be reading these. These I cannot explain. I think if any DC book was going to have Preacher in it, if any DC book was going to have Preacher in it, this would be pretty darn near close. Which I don't. I'm not in. I'm not like, oh boy, we should put Jesse Custer in it. No, I agree that Jesse should, but come on. Think about it. He could show up here. If all it took was a button in a bat cave, this could easily have him show up. The cover actually happens here too. Raven does show up at the end. Don't worry, it's not necessary that you read Teen Titans, but um, if you like Raven, I get the general feeling that this series will end in a cliffhanger. Oh, it's got to be resolved in Teen Titans because it's so short, and it's a shame it's so short because they have a lot of neat things they could easily tie up or tie into going on in this book. It didn't. This one didn't have Dead Man either. Why? You may be wondering, why am I so keen on Dead Man? Well, Dead Man was the question in the prior Future State book leading up to this, and I thought that was one of the coolest parts of of the Future State Shazam. Yeah, it's just a shame that you did get Neuron or Necron or whatever this guy's name is, which is super cool that he genuinely does want Billy, wants his soul and whatnot. But yeah, no show up of the question or any of that. No Charlton characters here. Again, good book, thumbs up. I didn't give too much away, did I? Oh, and before I forget, I I within the next couple of reviews will be this book, Jupiter Jet. I know I said that last time, but this time, Jupiter Jet, yeah, my thoughts. Um, to the writers of Hardware, before I go, I know what it's like to have to write a genius character. I kind of sympathize, but DC's pulled itself out of other holes just as deep as the one they have you in. You can pull yourself out, even if it takes an icon-sized shovel. I felt I was kind of hard on the book, and that I had to point that out before I go. Anyway, keep reading comics, kids. Bob out.